with the tabletop done, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the legs for it, and I'm going to do the kind of an old Gothic style legs. So what I'm going to do is simply go into create again, and I'm going to do this in a couple different pieces. So the first thing is I'm going to do this in one piece like this, and actually let's see here. I'm going to do it over here. So something like that and like that, and I'm going to resize it, of course, down the road here. I think that's way too thick, so I'm just going to go in and adjust things and just to get the right rough size going on. And so that's about half, something like that. And then, so I'm going to do something a little bit differently here. Okay, so I'm going to put one segment in the middle, extra in the middle, going like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click editable poly. I'm going to go into edge mode by hitting 1. I'm going to move over, and actually I think what I'm going to do is make this a little bit, yeah, I think that's good. And then so we're going to simply, I'm going to quick slice here, and when you quick slice stuff, I'm simply going here and I'm just going straight up and down. And you don't want to quick slice in the initial stages because, oops, there we go. Alright, so you don't want to quick slice in the initial stages because of the simple fact that what's going to happen is, or you want to in the initial stages because of the simple fact that if you go through the complex, you'll ruin the geometry. So now I've got this in there. That looks roughly square. That looks good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into polygon mode, hitting 4. I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to move this like so. And I'm going here, clicking over, and I'm just kind of getting this roughly lined up. I think that looks good. And then here, what I'm going to do is go in polygon, and I'm going to go into bevel, and bevel can go outward, so I'm just kind of creating a beveled shape like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this polygon here, and there's edge constraints. You can go into edge here, and I'm just simply going to raise this, and it won't disturb that, but I want to get, actually I don't even care about that right now, so I think that's fine. What I'm going to do then is go up here, make sure my edge constraint is off because that'll cause more problems. Go up here, oops, and simply what we're going to do is we're going to bevel, and I'm going to just do it up just a hair and then outward like so. Then bevel up, click again, bevel and inward, and then what I'm going to do is grab inset, and I'm just going to inset this like that, and extrude that upward and into the base. So that is the kind of the start, and then what I can do here is grab this, inset it like so, and then I can go in and extrude it inward. That's a little bit too much. Let's just do a hair. So I've extruded that inward now, And so now I've got a little bit more detail, and I can put a design in there down the road. Next thing I'm worried about is I'm going to go in here and to polygon mode and actually grab all of these polygons right here and hit delete. And the reason I'm deleting them is because I'm going to mirror this over. So what I'm going to do is go into the edge loop tool here, 3, and I'm going to scale it as much as possible, 100%, and that will flatten it out and make it all nice and pretty so I can mirror it. So now if I add in a symmetry modifier, and let's go into symmetry, go into the mirror and move it accordingly, like this. And there is my object. So once that is done, I've got my base idea. And if I want, I can actually go into and right click collapse all, and it'll convert it into an editable poly. I'm going to hit Alt Q to isolate this, and I'm going to grab these 2 polygons here, extrude outward like so, and then I'm going to, oops, I keep hitting shift and I shouldn't do that. I hit control, hit that delete, and then I'm going to bridge. Actually, let's go here, make it life simpler. Go here, bridge, and there is my piece. Now that's the shape is in there, and what I'm going to simply do is get rid of my isolation, and that basically creates my nice clean aspect in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the put some lattice in there, and then that lattice will give me a little bit of definition in there to kind of create that. And I'm going to do that as a separate piece. So that is essentially, I'm going to go into let's see here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go into Alt W. I'm going to click this one, go into Alt W, and I'm going to hit Z to zoom this in there. And then I'm going to get rid of my grid so you can see where my grid is now. Everything looks good. Maybe I'll just grab this as a whole and move it down so I can see the inside square. And then what I'm going to do is something a little bit different. I'm going to go into line work here, and I'm going to first create a rectangle that is the same shape and size as my interior. And I'm going to move that over here. That's my, oops, that's my my interior. And so from there, what I'm going to do is start by creating some line work here. So maybe, I don't know, just kind of like so. That's my spline. And then, you know, if I'm going to do this, I can do half and then mirror it. So I'm just going to kind of put in some different pieces and parts. So I can go in and grab a rectangle, and maybe this is the rectangle. And I'm going to go into the rectangle spline and go into editable spline, and then from here I can go in and refine so I'm going to put 2 pieces in like that, 2 pieces in like this, grab that, and I can start Actually, I'll have to move it, so I'm just going to grab this and grab this, and that'll be things to kind of do, and then or kind of put in there. And then if I just hold shift, I can actually clone this over. And so I'm making a base idea of what what I want to do. All I'm doing right now is starting to attach, and then what I can do is simply grab this, and we can go into the editable spline, and I can just attach. I'm going to grab these rectangles here and just attach them together, and that's going to start giving me more geometry to play with, so that when I can extrude it, I just add an extrude modifier on there, and you can see simply how that'll work like that. So I can get my different geometry in there, and I can create a nice with some thickness here. I can create my geometry the way I want it to basically work, and that gives me the ability to kind of create a design in there, or a pattern. You can also do this as an Illustrator aspect. So if you find something you like in Illustrator, or find something you like, it's easier to trace in Illustrator, you can bring that in as a EPS and extrude it out as a spline. So essentially, I'm just going to go back into my editable spline, and let's go to like so, and grab this modifier, and I can always turn it off so I can still keep working with splines. I can add circles in there. I can go in and manipulate these objects. Let me just I'm just going to really quickly so I can close that, and let's move that up and over. And of course, you want to play with certain things here, so maybe I'm just going to grab this and go in my spline segments here, grab and just do another 3 here real quick. Kind of average things out, make them all nice and pretty. And let's move this over a little bit. And then again, go into your vertexes and feel free to play with this to get the curves that you need or want. And then we can use the mirror tool, and I'm just going to do a copy, and we're going to mirror it like so. And hold in control on both of these. I can do the mirror again, copy, let's offset them like that. That's okay. And then I can grab, and let's just do one more real quick line. So close the spine and mirror. Real quick, and again let it do the work for you. And mirror. And done. And then it's just a matter of going in to your spline, attaching multiple, attach that, and again go in and make sure everything's kind of lined up properly. And let's center this. Doesn't matter really what it looks like. Just a demonstration here. But then once that's all done, you should be able to go back into the extrude, turn it on, and now you have a nice piece basically to kind of insert into your piece like so. And let's go again back to perspective so we can see things. Move this inside here like this. It's about centered. And then with that all put together, and I'm going to grab both of them, holding in Control, hold down Shift, like so. And then we're just going to add in a simple box. And what we're going to do is go like so. And I don't really, oops. This is why we pay attention to things we generally don't create things in 3D here. So this is viewport right. And we're just going to kind of put that in like so. And the size is completely wrong, so let's, yeah, this is why we don't create things in 3D here, or so I'm just going to push that in the middle there, like so. And then let's make the height, let's see here. Let's make the height about this big, kind of plant that in there. And then we're going to add in 2 segments, convert it into a polygon. Grab these 2 and scale them centered. And then I'm going to grab this, holding in Control, grabbing that. And let's inset. And then holding in Shift. Oops. Holding in Control, just there we go. And then let's extrude that outward. Oops. There we go. And we extrude these outward. And that gives me kind of a nice looking bench. Now what I would do though, and this is just me, I would grab you can see it's just too small, so I'm going to just grab half of it and move it. Something like that, just to give it a little thickness. Make it look like it belongs. And then, once I'm done, I've got my edible poly. This is my tabletop. I'm just going to turn this into a table, and I'm going to attach all my pieces. And so now I have a table. And it's got a little bit more geometry, a little bit more interest than the standard four-legged table does. All right,